Hi, everybody. It's Drive Safe Dave here with another great interview and some exciting new technology. We have somebody from Waymo coming in. Pablo, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and what it is you do?
Thanks so much, Dave, and it's great to be here on the show. Hi, everybody. I'm Pablo Abad. I'm a product manager for Waymo Trucking. Waymo is a company that's spun out of Google and is focused on developing autonomous driving technology. So we build the hardware and the software that enables trucks and cars to drive themselves. In my role, I lead product behavior for trucking. And behavior means that we basically focus on all the things that let the truck, the autonomous driver, figure out how other agents are going to drive in the environment, then how we're going to plan trajectories, how we're going to drive safely in that environment too.
Well, I'll tell you, and we do that without thinking about it, and you're doing it in a computer brain and everything. But so let's talk a little bit about your product. I'll tell you, we've seen some of your trucks on the road. We've even actually videoed some of our drivers have walked by the truck stop, kind of getting this moonstruck, this NASA looking truck. I'm going to go out on a limb, and here it is. What's with all the spinning things and what's with all the kind of give us a rundown of what's happening on that tractor to make it look like that outer space ship.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. I'll take NASA looking any day. I think that's a great compliment. Thank you so much. Yeah, so if you see our trucks on the highway, and we operate primarily in the southwestern states, so we have operation centers in Arizona and also in Dallas, Texas. And so you might see us on the I-10, the I-20, or the I-45 in those regions. And if you take a look at our tractors, you'll see a lot of different sensors. You'll see primarily a couple big domes on the left and the right side of the truck. And those are our vision systems. Inside of our vision systems, we have cameras, which can detect very long distances, just kind of regular cameras that you might have that you're kind of familiar with. They can take pictures for very far away. They help us detect color and help us figure out what the environment looks like. You'll also see a lot of the spinning sensors. That's probably the ones that you notice first right off the bat. And so those spinning sensors, those are called Lidar sensors. Lidar is short for light detection and ranging. It's just a really awesome technology. And basically what happens is it sends light pulses out in all directions on that spinning sensor. And by doing that, it creates a 3D picture of the environment by basically detecting how long it takes for the light to go out and then to come back. And so by doing that measurement, 360 degrees, spinning around, it can create a 3D map of the world around it and see what's happening. And on top of all of that, we also have radar, which you're probably familiar with. And so radar allows us to detect the distance and the speed of other objects that are on the roadway.
And I have a real quick question. Are you using like X band or Y band or what kind are you using? Because I don't know if my little escort radar detector will be going off anytime if I get near one of these trucks.
No, it shouldn't affect any of your detectors on your trucks. We've tested this on the freeway. We've already got 20 million miles of autonomous driving on the roadway.
Wow.
We've also driven 20 billion miles in simulation. All of this goes into training our computer, our algorithms, to create what we hope is the most advanced driving system on the planet.
So I've got to ask, after hearing all of that and the way that it's detecting light to create a map of the world around it, so are there certain things that the sensors are looking out for whenever they're out there on the road? Things such as pedestrians or road signs and anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we detect all of that. So we're looking out for pedestrians in particular, what we call vulnerable road users. So people that might be more at risk while we're driving on the freeway. We take safety, of course, as our primary concern. So we're always looking out for construction workers, even sometimes bicyclists, which you might not think you'll see on the highway, but we see sometimes our fair share of bicyclists on the freeway. But on top of all that, we're looking for things like road conditions, even, or construction signs, or exit only lanes, other vehicles, so motorcycles, trucks, regular sedans, things like that. Like, we're detecting all of that. And our main Lidar sensor on the top of our truck that's creating the 3D images, that can detect up to 3 football fields away. So 300 yards away, we're generating a 3D view of the world around it so that we can detect very early and anticipate those those scenarios so that we can either brake or change lanes in anticipation of avoiding dangerous situations.
And that's very interesting that you talk about that. And as I was thinking about it, and we were sitting around and discussing it, and as you look out there, and it makes those intuitive decisions about what's going on around it and slowing down. What definite challenges are you running into that make it a little bit different? Like some for me would be a hand signal from a police officer as opposed to a sign, right? Or somebody just waving or what have you. When there's also other intuitive things like black ice out on the road in the distance, or what other type of intuitive challenges are you facing with this AI?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dave. Thank you for that. Yeah, so Waymo has been around since 2009. So we've been developing this technology for a long time. We've been training it on all sorts of situations that we encounter on the roadway. And before I get to answering your question, I will say that we have successfully launched a fully autonomous ride-hailing service in Phoenix, Arizona. And so today, if you wanted to, you could fly to Phoenix, download the app, and take a ride in a Waymo car, just like you would call an Uber or a taxi. And a fully autonomous car would come pick you up, drop you off at your destination. So with no driver in the driver's seat. And so that is all to say that we have a lot of experience developing this technology. And we've seen a lot of really interesting situations, whether it be construction zones or workers directing traffic, like you mentioned, or police directing traffic. And so all of that kind of comes into play into our system. And so developing our system to detect hand gestures for people directing traffic, or even right like kids in a school in a school truck in a school car, right, that are doing the hand signal to like honk the horn, for example. Those are all things that we are planning on detecting and being able to react to, because it's all part of driving on the freeway.
Wow, I like to know that would be a big
Yeah.
signal, and not get taken away that part of the thrill of the ride and interesting, and I guess one of the things that we've talked about and one of the things that we're interested in understanding is who's going to own this technology in the insurance world, right? I mean, let's be honest with what's going on as safety is paramount in the success of the trucking industry. Where does before it's always been the driver and the carrier, but now we're talking about a new AI that has to make the decision on what it's going to do out there. And sometimes, no matter the decision you make, it will have a difficult outcome, right? I mean, you and I both understand that as we move forward through this, there's going to be some sort of litigation, and who owns that part?
Yeah, that's another great question, Dave. Thank you. Yeah, so at Waymo, we are focused on developing the hardware and the software technology. So we are very much a technology company, and our focus is on supplying that technology to the fleets themselves while partnering with the OEMs and the tier one suppliers. And so what we do is we provide the technology and we develop the technology, and we let those fleets do what they do best, right? Which is manage shipping and carry the deliveries for their customers. And safety has always been paramount at Waymo. And so one of the big motivators behind the whole company, behind the technology, is the fact that every year 1.3 million people die from car accidents. And it's just a very tragic statistic, unfortunately. But that's something that we're focused on cutting into, and something that we think our technology can really help decrease substantially. Not only that, but 1 out of every 7 traffic fatalities in the U.S. involves heavy-duty trucks. And so we have both our ride-hailing product, and we also have our trucking product. And we think that both of them together will do a lot to make a dent in those tragic accidents that happen every year. And, going back to the litigation, to the cost of this too, like there's also an economic incentive to do this, right? So the FMCSA estimates that truck crashes cost $30 billion every year in the United States. And as these accidents have increased, so has litigation. And over the last 10 years, commercial trucking insurance rates have skyrocketed as a result, with commercial fleets seeing anywhere from 100 to 300% rate increases. So our goal is to build all of our safety advances in technology to reduce these fatalities, reduce the economic burden, and make just driving on the freeway, driving on the roadways, a much safer place to be.
And you mentioned driving on the roadways and driving on the freeways. So a question that I had thought of was, what kind of roadways are you guys testing these on? I know that straightaway roads typically are a little bit easier to drive as opposed to windy roads like we see up near Colorado or in the mountainous areas of the United States. Have you guys tested this technology in those windy roads, or has it been mainly on freeways and highways here in metropolitan areas?
Yeah, yeah. We've tested our Waymo driver, what we call our autonomous driving system, all over the country in 10 states. So, like Michigan, Las Vegas, even Death Valley. We primarily operate, as I mentioned, in Arizona and in Texas, and we have our headquarters in California. So, we do a lot of driving in those particular states. And for the trucking product in particular, we're focused on the southwestern states. So, that's primarily Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And we do that because there are very favorable weather conditions in that region. So that allows us to test 365, 24/7 pretty much. And we still have to watch out for inclement weather, so like rain, storms, things like that. But driving in those states is a lot easier for us to do. And that's why we're primarily targeting those states. But I will say, to answer your question, so we can drive, on curvy roads, we can drive on straight roads. And what you'll see is that, like I said before, we're primarily on the I-10, the I-20, and the I-45, and navigating on those roadways because that's where we see a lot of the great weather conditions and a lot of the big shipping lanes too, as you probably are familiar with. Right? The big hubs are in Dallas, in Houston, and at LA to Atlanta corridor.
Yeah, I mean, we're well. Yeah, if you're in trucking, you understand that, and also that is without question, it's got the nice straight roads. You run out there, West Texas, you're going a long ways. I mean, it's closer to El Paso's closer to California than it is to Dallas. So,
Yeah.
and we understand full well the implications of that, and understanding why you would run those because that's a great way. Because once you get going, you just keep going, going, and going, and not limited to the hours of service rules and stuff like that. When our drivers see your ride share, like you have on board, you have a Waymo driver, right? Along with the unit, the autonomous system. Is that an engineer or is that a CDL holder or is that a? I mean, I understand they're CDL holders, but are they engineers by any imagination? Are they truck drivers or do they just make up a wide range of people?
Yeah, yeah. So today, or I should say rather, that our goal at Waymo is to develop fully autonomous L4 technology. So L4 is a level of autonomy that basically means that there's no one in the driver's seat. And ultimately, that is our goal. Today, we still operate with what we call two autonomous specialists in the truck itself. And so our autonomous specialists basically include a CDL operator who sits in the driver's seat and also a software technician who sits in the passenger seat. And so the software technician basically monitors a laptop who can enter comments and hashtags that sends all that data back to our development team that we can then look at that data and further improve Waymo Driver for weird scenarios or interesting scenarios that we might encounter on the roadway. So, for example, like if you encounter a bicyclist, say like bicyclist, I saw a bicyclist on the freeway. Take a look at this. We can use that data to then improve the Waymo Driver in the future. And then our CDL operator sits in the driver's seat, just monitoring the Waymo driver and prepared to take over in case he needs to at any point.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And the only reason I ask that is I think when we see these guys out there, how open are they to talk about their trucks? Because I can tell you right now, everybody that I know, when you talk to a driver's okay with talking about his truck, and it doesn't matter whatever truck he's driving. He's usually good about discussing it and going over it. Are these guys open also to conversation out there on the road? Say, hey, look, maybe point some things out if we do bump into them, at a truck stop or in a refuel area or out there on the way or wherever it is they are.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, Dave. Yeah, in fact, we love it. And I've been on ride-alongs in Dallas, Texas, where we stopped at a truck stop or to get gas, and we always get some interesting looks from people like that. That's interesting. I've never seen a truck like that before with all these spinning sensors and these cameras and the radar. And so we love it when people come and talk to us and ask us about the truck. We're more than happy to answer questions about what it is, what we're trying to do, we're very open to it, and we really engage with other truck drivers. We love it because we love kind of seeing the feedback and the interesting questions that people have.
Well, and I just want to tell you, it's exciting information. It's it is the way of the future. It's coming. There's no holding it back, and we're excited to get to know you and for you to come on the show and share with other drivers around the country about how it's going about and what's taking place. And I know you can't really answer this one question, but how much is one of those trucks going to eventually cost? I really would like to know that. I have no idea. But I really would be interested to know. I'm sure it's a nice price tag, but really, where are we with that? And I know you don't really do timelines or anything, but if you could step outside the box, off the record, what kind of where you think you might be? Because I know you inside your heart, you're going to say, man, in 10 years we're locking this down. 5 years we're locking this down. I'm just saying, you got something going on in here, right? Not necessarily up here, but in here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny, Dave. You said NASA-like at the beginning. I guess I'll say that, we're NASA-like, but we're going to be cheaper than a price on a rocket to the moon, at least. I think I could say that. But I can't give specifics in terms of the price at this time, but it's a great question. But I think, exploring that relationship with the fleets in terms of kind of what they're willing, what makes sense for them to pay, I think we'll figure out the right price in this particular market. And in terms of timeline too, we've heard some people say, a decade, 2 decades longer. Sometimes people in the industry think that we're that kind of far away. We like to remind people that autonomous driving is available today. We are the only company that's currently offering a ride-hailing service in Phoenix, fully autonomous, and we're now translating that to the trucking side. And while I can't give specific timelines, it's not going to be. We don't think it's going to be decades away. We think it's going to be sooner than that.
Well, I'm excited for you, and I hope all the best, man. It's great information, great technology, very interesting, and you know what? It is something that we all need to understand and get to know, so that it's not a mystery. When you're driving down the road, and it's someday you're going to look over, and you're not going to see somebody behind the wheel. It's going to be a little bit different feel, and as long as we're educated on that of what's going on and how it's happening, then I think it'll all be for the better. As far as we all know, there's plenty of room to share the road. And I appreciate it when you come on. Pablo, thanks for your information and thanks for all the stuff that you brought to the table. If in the future we see y'all out here in Dallas and we get an opportunity, do you mind if we stop by your station and maybe do a local or even bring one of your Waymo trucks over here to the terminal and have a look at it? Man, we sure would like to be involved in what y'all are doing and understanding out there for the driving community to be accepting as well.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun, Dave. I look forward to that. I look forward to seeing you in Dallas and maybe getting some barbecue together. It could be a lot of fun.
All right, we appreciate it. And thanks so much for joining us today. And we'll see you soon and talk to you.